Hey everyone, Ellie Shostak here, your favorite relationship coach. And before I continue, I'm going to ask you a favor. Yes. So lately in my videos, I've been saying your favorite relationship coach. And that's because whoever I meet in that moment of time, that person becomes my favorite because I try to embrace every moment that I'm in. However, I know it's a bit presumptuous for me to assume that I am your favorite relationship coach. In fact, when I was growing up and I would listen to Mr. Rogers and watch him, he would sing, won't you please, won't you be my neighbor? And he would ask the question. And then immediately he would say, hi, neighbor. And I would always get annoyed that I never actually confirmed that I would be his neighbor. So I'm asking you, go ahead, put in the comments below, let me know. You can email me if it's okay for me to say your favorite relationship coach. It's important to me. I want to know. Okay. I want to talk to you about a topic that I get asked a lot about, and that is how do I decide between attraction versus connection, between being totally into someone and looking forward because you could tell in your body you have these feelings, and the conversation is not so good, or the conversation is awesome, but I'm not that attracted to the person. So I get this asked in so many ways. In fact, I'm going to be updating my Find the Right One program with a new module coming up. And as I'm working on it and creating it, I said, I just got to share this all with you because it's so important. And I really get asked this so many times. So the question comes in different formats, right? People will ask, well, what's the difference between love and lust? Well, guess what? If you're asking the question, it's lust. Okay? Because if you can't stop it, like being with the person, then it's our mind convinces us that it might be love, but it's usually lust in that question. Or I love spending time with her, but there's no spark, right? What do I do? There's no chemistry. The sex is great, but we don't have too many things in common. He's okay, but I think I could do better. I want my heart to skip a beat every time I see him, and it doesn't. Or she's the most attractive woman I've ever seen, but we have very little in common, right? So I'm going to give you some very simple ways to decide to help you in your decision. And it really all depends on two things. And I've said this many times before, but I'll say it again. Number one, when you fully love yourself for who you are and you take actions towards that, that's the first step in getting into anything healthy and maintaining it. So that's first and foremost. And that's pretty much what my entire relationship coach business is built on. And Find the Right One is that element. And the second element, which is so important, is that once you understand what it means to be healthy yourself first, you can then create a vision for you of what it is that you want moving forward. So the advice is going to be different for somebody who wants a friends with benefits. The advice is going to be different for someone who just wants a companion and it doesn't matter so much on the attraction. The advice is going to be different for somebody who wants a long-term relationship or to have several relationships. It really depends on what it is that you want. So I'm going to break things down for you in a very simple way that you can all understand. And I pride myself on that because I love simplicity. The mind in general likes to confuse you and make you feel that there has to be some magic potion or formula that will come down from the heavens, or there has to be some dissertation of how it's not that simple, but the mind will trick you and confuse you into thinking that it is. Okay, so hear me out. Here is how you decide between attraction versus connection. First and foremost, there is no versus, right? You can have it all. You deserve it all because you have it all. Here's what it boils down to there are three parts, three elements that each human being is composed of. Okay. We have the mind, we have the body, and we have what I call is the essence. So if you come from a religious background, you might call it something else. If you come from an atheist background, you might call it, energy or uh, whatever it is that you do or do not believe in. It doesn't really matter. That's why I don't use any terms because, like soulmates, beyond confusing, beyond confusing. Okay. I was going to mention a documentary that I watched recently, as well as a show I think on Netflix that is just really wild. So I don't really want to knock too many other ideas in this video, but I will tell you that believing that in those concepts where I can only have one, that's what's totally going to screw you over, and not in a good way. All right, so let's get back to the three components. So you have the body, you have the mind, and you have the essence. Now, the body is composed of feelings and emotions and physical desire. And we all have this at different times in our life, at different levels, right? And that's normal. Sometimes it's high, sometimes it's low, but that's the body. And by the way, the emotions, which many people think is the mind, is not. It's not. It's the body. So I want you to hear me out. I'll give you a very quick example. If you take a baby and you put a a rattlesnake near the baby's hand, it doesn't know the difference between that or putting a piece of jump rope on your hand. So the feeling, the texture and the feeling might feel similar, but the inside, in terms of fear, in terms of it doesn't know the difference, right? But it's just something touching your skin. So it could actually feel very nice if you have the snake around your skin, right? As we get older and we go further away from one's essence, so to speak, the mind will then come in and tell you, oh, rope, good, bad, snake, bad. Stay away. So be afraid. And after so many years of being conditioned in that way, your mind will become accustomed to feeling and transferring that emotion to feeling scared. Okay. So that's a confusing step that a lot of people, myself included, for many, many years, didn't understand that emotions actually are within the body. We put our own identifications onto those feelings as either good or bad. That's why when you're walking by a roller coaster, you'll see some people and people are screaming. So two people can watch the roller coaster come down, and one person goes, "Oh my gosh, that looks so much fun!" They're all screaming. The other person sees people screaming. They're like, "I'm never going on that. It looks like they're about to die." Same situation, right? Same scream, and the brain is processing it, which then affects your emotion as either scared or excited. Okay. Then we have the mind. The mind is where our thoughts are, communication, connections, value, common interests, principles that we agree with, so on and so forth, right? So, what you have with the human is you got the body and you got the mind. So, here is the attraction piece, which is the body, and you got the mind, which is the connection piece. Underlying both of these components, and this is what I've written my whole course, Find the Right One, and then my next course, Next Level Living, is based on, is what we call the essence. And that's what we're really all trying to get to with someone else. That is what love is. That's what true love is, being accepted for all whom you are on all levels. Okay? So now that we got those three components down, we got the body, we got the mind, we have the essence. We're going to talk about, this is nice, but how the hell do I decide whether to continue or to break up or to, move on to someone else? So there are three phases to dating and relationships, and I've talked about these before, but I'll mention them again. You have the prospecting phase, you have the dating phase, and you have the growth phase. Okay. So the prospecting is when you're going on apps and you're swiping and just looking, checking out profiles. Okay. It might even mean perhaps one meeting in person, but it's usually online where you're prospecting between two different people or a few. Then you have the dating phase, which is getting onto a real live date with the actual human that you are with. And then you have the growth phase, which is after you've gone past the prospecting as well as the dating, you are now growing together in this relationship. Okay. Again, so how do I decide? So it's different in each one of these phases. Number one, and again, remember what we talked about. You must be clear on what your vision is before you decide. If your vision is, I want to be in something healthy, that's loving, that's long term, then these next few steps are going to help you very much. But you can apply it to different visions as well. But let's go with that. So you're in the prospecting phase, okay? And you're looking at different people at pictures and this and that. Pretty much what you're doing is you're going on that initial picture. It's very, very hard to tell whether or not the picture is accurate, whether or not the person may have gained weight, lost weight, whatever it is. It's very hard to tell. But let's assume that on the picture, you're like, oh, okay, cute. All right. So I would tell you on the online prospecting phase, you need to be a little bit more careful and more hesitant than the in person. The in person is really where you're going to make your decision. Okay. But I'm going to give you another tip, which will help you forever. The way to make healthy decisions when it comes to dating and relationships is what I call percentages. Okay. What are the percentages when it comes to prospecting? So you get on online and you're looking through. We're going to give a 1 to a 5 that if I see this picture, it does nothing for me. Zilch. Okay. Most people will fall into the category. I'm usually like the 1 to 5 when someone looks at me. Okay. Like you really want to barf. Just joking. So a 5 to an 8 is where most of us will get excited. Okay. Extremely normal. An 8 to a 10 is kind of like, holy cow. Woo. Right. You just feel it. But again, it's all body. At that point, it's just your eyeball. You don't know anything about the human. You don't know anything about their mind. All you're looking at is a picture. A buddy of mine, Joe, once said I was on a podcast of his, and his friend was upset with him. He's like, "This girl just broke up with me," and he's like, "Oh, so how many times did you date?" Well, we didn't, but we've been just communicating on an app. So you never met the girl in person? No. So you're upset about breaking up with a picture? So it's funny, not really, but there's really not that much to talk about when it comes to the pictures. Even on a 1 to 5, if you're not sure, it I would recommend going on the date, okay? Definitely not a 1, okay? But, like, a 5 and above, yeah, you definitely wanna go because there's that initial cute attraction. The body is telling you there's something there, just on the eyeballs, just on the picture. Got it? Cool. Now, what happens about an in-person date, all right? Um, actually, let's stick with online for a second because there's a lot of texting going back and forth. You got the mind. Let's go from body to mind. So now you're prospecting, you've only know the person's picture, and now you're communicating with this person. Okay. And again, we go with percentages. If there is no camaraderie back and forth, if there's no real connection, and it's, remember, we got to go with the 5 and above because there's that initial attraction with the eyeballs on the body, then you can say, is this worth a date? Because perhaps in person, there could be something. But if it's negative or if it's completely like talking to the wall, then forget it. I don't care if it's a 5 to a 10. Remember, what's the vision? I want to be in something healthy that's long term where I feel accepted for all whom I am. All who I am. All right. Anyways, got me? Cool. So then we get to an in-person date. All right. So we've gone from prospecting. And by the way, we're not in the dating phase yet. I don't consider this dating. I'm still in the prospecting phase. Dating is we're past date 1, 2. We're already we're moving into the middle phase. So let's stick with the prospecting. Prospecting in the in-person phase. We got the 3 components. We got the mind, we got the body, and we have essence accepted. Now most people are trying to see if this is the one. Okay? And they want to go to that. Just chill. Just chill and relax. Okay? Chill and relax. So you're on the date. If you get on the date and you see this person and the picture is completely different than what you saw, it's a 1 to a 5, and there's zilch attraction body wise, forget it. No matter what you try to do, no matter, you can't convince yourself, well, we'll talk and then, no. Again, what we're going to deal with 5 and above. Okay? And by the way, we're going to get really, really fooled because I gave you the 1 to 5. What happens if it's an 8 to 10? That's also problematic. And I'll tell you why in a moment. But first, let's deal with the 5 to 7. 5 to 7, the attraction with the body, cool. Now we're looking for on this date when it comes to the mind connection. Are we connecting with our thoughts, with our values, with our communication? Is there that? So we have, and what happens in most situations is that if you're dealing with a 5 and above, you can actually build your attraction based on one or the other. So either the mind is connecting more, which is amazing, and the or the body's connecting more, which is here is where we need to really watch ourselves. If we get on that date and it's an 8 to a 10 with attraction, sometimes the body, as we know, will outthink the mind and say, I don't care. This is what I want. This is all right. Now, if you have an 8 to a 10 in attraction, and by the way, just because you're attracted 8 to 10 doesn't mean that that's the way that they feel towards you. So, right? There's two people. So, if you go ahead and you have an 8 to 10 attraction for this other person, keep in mind you must be vigilant when it comes to your mind connection and see if I'm connecting on that level as well. Because if it's a 1 to a 5 and there's really no connection, then your vision might change. This might be good for sex, but it's not going to be good for ultimately connecting and that long term vision, which is what I want. And again, just because you have the 8 to 10 doesn't mean that they have the 8 to 10 for you. That's where things can get confusing. So that's how we decide when it comes to percentages in the prospecting phase. Got me? Cool. Let's go to the dating phase. Ready? The dating phase is as follows. We've gotten our numbers down. Again, we're talking healthy dating. We've gotten our numbers down when it comes to 1 to a 10 with the body, with the attraction. We're at the 5, 6, 7. It's growing. The attraction on the body level, our feelings are growing. And then we have the mind connection, which is also growing. And we have the communication. And that's how we're able to tell in the dating phase, does this person treat me kindly? Am I interacting in a way that is bringing out the best in me? Do I feel, and here's the ultimate question for essence for love. Essence and love, by the way, is the same thing, but we'll talk about that another time. Do I feel accepted for all who I am? That's it. When you feel that, you are freaking golden. Okay? You are golden. That's what you're trying to assess in the dating phase. And then in the growth phase, okay, and I'm going to change around the order here. In the growth phase, I'm going to put the mind first, the body second, and the essence is actually paramount, but hear me out. As you grow in a relationship, the attraction can get higher, it can get lower, the sex can become awesome, it can become not as awesome. And the reason why is because as you evolve as a human, your body ages with time, and sometimes the body will want more or less. What you're doing is you're constantly assessing, are my percentages overall good so that I feel this essence connection to this human? Because, mind you, if in the prospecting phase you go for an 8 to 10, okay, in the body, right? Oh my God, this is the most attractive person I've ever been with. Okay, and the connection is good. Okay, it's a 1 to a 5 in the connection, but you know what? This is something I've never, oh my gosh, right? And you get in the dating phase, okay? Person gets hit by a car, can't have sex again. Dude, what are you? I'm out. Bye bye. Now, again, if that's your goal, but a healthy, loving relationship is something much deeper than that. And you and I both know it. So I really hope that this was helpful for you in terms of how to decide, how to make decisions. And if you have any questions, and remember, please don't forget, I want you to let me know if I'm allowed to call you, allowed to call myself your favorite relationship coach. Hopefully, you'll give me the thumbs up, and hope you find this to be useful. Have an awesome day.